A 9-time world champion walks into a tennis tournament, expecting to watch some casual matches. Instead, he witnesses something that stops him cold. The entire stadium is drowning in red, white, and blue. Not Italian colors, Philippine flags. And the roar isn't for any Italian player. It's for a 20-year-old from Manila who has somehow turned Rome into her personal kingdom. Valentino Rossi has seen everything motorsport can offer. 90,000 screaming fans at Mugello, legendary battles with Marquez and Lorenzo, victory celebrations across 3 decades. But nothing prepared him for what happened at the Foro Italico in May 2024. And what he said afterward will change how you see sports fandom forever. This is a man who built his legacy on understanding crowds. Rossi didn't just race motorcycles. He conducted symphonies of human emotion at 200 miles per hour. The Sea of Yellow at Italian Grand Prix events became his trademark. Fans didn't just watch Rossi race, they became part of his legend. So when he arrived in Rome to watch Alex Eala compete, he thought he understood what passion looked like. He was wrong. The moment Rossi entered the stadium, he was surrounded by something unprecedented. Families who had traveled from across Europe wearing Philippine jerseys. OFWs who had saved for months to witness their young star compete on clay courts 11,000 kilometers from home. The chants of Lob and Alex echoed off ancient Roman architecture. Rossi turned to a tournament official and asked the question that revealed everything. "What is this?" The official smiled. He had explained the Eala effect to Francesco Totti days earlier, to Andrea Bocelli the day before. Now it was the doctor's turn to understand what Alex Eala had created. This wasn't just tennis support. This was a cultural phenomenon that transcended sport. And Rossi, a master of crowd psychology, was genuinely stunned by its power. But here's where the story takes a turn that nobody expected. When journalists asked Rossi to compare Eala to other young athletes, he didn't talk about technique or training. He made a comparison that cut straight to the heart of what separates good athletes from legends. And his answer revealed more about both champions than any highlight reel ever could. "When I was young, I was not the most talented rider on the grid," Rossi admitted. "There were others who had more natural speed, more natural talent. But I had something else. I had the fans." He paused, watching Eala sign autographs for a line that stretched seemingly forever. When you know that 90,000 people are behind you, not just watching but behind you, it changes everything. You cannot give up. You cannot lose. Because if you lose, you are not just disappointing yourself, you are disappointing all of them. Then came the statement that sent shockwaves through both tennis and motorsport communities. "Alex has that. She carries them with her and they carry her. That is not something you can teach. That is something you are born with." Rossi wasn't comparing playing styles or career trajectories. He was identifying the intangible force that transforms athletes into icons. The bond between a competitor and the people who believe in them. "She reminds me of myself when I was 20. Not because of her tennis, because of her heart." Consider what this means coming from Valentino Rossi. This is a man who received standing ovations at Mugello, Misano, and Valencia, who turned motorcycle racing into theater, who understood crowd energy better than perhaps any athlete of his generation. And he was saying that a teenage tennis player from the Philippines possessed the same rare gift that had defined his entire career. The ability to transform individual achievement into collective identity. The numbers back up Rossi's instinct. Eala's matches consistently draw television audiences that dwarf other women's tennis events. Philippine sports bars pack to capacity when she plays. Social media engagement spikes globally whenever her name trends. This isn't just about tennis results. It's about representation, hope, and the power of seeing yourself reflected in someone competing on the world's biggest stages. Rossi recognized this immediately because he had built his own legend on the exact same foundation. But what happened next elevated this encounter from interesting to unforgettable. Before leaving the Foro Italico, Rossi did something that revealed the depth of his respect for what he had witnessed. He walked toward the general admission stands where Philippine flags were thickest, not the VIP area, not the media zone, the section where OFWs had gathered, where families had scraped together money for tickets, where the most passionate voices had been coming from all afternoon. When the fans realized who was approaching them, the chants shifted from Laban Alex to Val Val Val. Rossi pointed to the Philippine flags, pointed to his heart, and said loudly enough for cameras to capture Tifosi Incredibili, incredible fans. The section erupted. Here was a man who had spent his entire career being celebrated by supporters, now celebrating them. Later, when asked about the gesture, Rossi was characteristically humble. "They traveled so far, they gave so much, they deserve to be seen, they deserve to be thanked." The meeting between Rossi and Eala lasted only 10 minutes, but the words exchanged have become legendary among Filipino sports fans. Rossi waited for her in a private area near the players' lounge, standing as she entered in a gesture of respect that spoke volumes. "The crowd you have, do not take it for granted. he told her. "I have seen many young athletes with great talent, great potential, but they lose the connection with the fans. They become distant, they become separate. You cannot let that happen." His advice cut to the core of sustainable greatness. Your people are your power. When you feel tired, when you feel like you cannot go on, remember them. They are not just watching you, they are living through you. That is a gift, protect it. Then came the statement that perfectly captured what made this encounter so special. "In racing, we have a saying, the race is long and in the end it is only with yourself. But today I learned something new. The race is long, but you are never alone." Valentino Rossi has won 115 Grand Prix races. He has stood on podiums across the globe and felt the adoration of millions. But on a warm Roman afternoon, at a tennis tournament that had nothing to do with motorcycles, he witnessed something that reminded him why he fell in love with competition in the first place. Not the trophies or the records, but the connection between an athlete and the people who see their own dreams reflected in someone else's courage. When Rossi returns to Mugello next year for the Italian MotoGP, he'll see his traditional sea of yellow supporters. But he'll also remember the sea of red, white, and blue that moved him to tears in Rome. Because greatness isn't just about individual achievement. It's about carrying the hopes of everyone who believes in you. And sometimes it takes a legend to recognize that gift in someone else.